Hey everyone, Chad here. One of the things that can be really important and is very important for us is to always review, always kind of looking back where we've been, to see places that we've won, places we can do a little bit better. And so at the beginning of 2015, we've been able to do a lot of reflection and wanted just to take some time here today and just share with you some of the reviews, some of the celebrations from 2014, also some of the things that we want to do a little bit better. Now, there are a number of things that annoy us about the United Methodist Church at Crossroads. However, there are some great things that we love about being a part of that family, and one of those things is accountability. Every single year, at the beginning of January, we have to basically do an internal audit for everything as far as numbers go. And numbers are important in that they do a couple of things. When it comes to attendance and people and counting, etc., those numbers represent people's lives who are being changed by the gospel. That's very, very important. When it comes to the finances, numbers help for us to see where our priorities are as a family. And so we're able to do that audit each and every year, report those things to the overall big family, the United Methodist Church, and it just helps us to have some accountability. So there are a couple things that I just want to share that I think are great indicators of the work that God's doing among us. So for example, in 2014, we were able to invest as far as outreach goes, invest into mission, invest into things outside of our family, into people outside of our family, locally and abroad, to the tune of over $79,000. Now, that's a significant number because that's over 20% of the revenue that we brought in as a family. So imagine if you're a family and you were able to give over 20% of your gross income to help those outside of your family. I mean, imagine that. Imagine if you were able to give over 20% to the mission of Crossroads or a combination thereof. That's what we've done as a bigger family on mission here at Crossroads. Out of the money that we've brought in, we've been able to invest in 2014 over 20% into people locally and abroad for the gospel, to the tune of a little over $79,000. I think that's an amazing thing for us to celebrate. Also, this year, we had more people involved in Sunday morning attendance, more people involved in being a part of a family on mission, what we call a missional community, people who are living life together Monday through Saturday. We had more people in discipling relationships. The vehicle we use for those is called Huddle. We had more youth that went to camp, etc. If you just look across the board, everything was going this way this year, and we're so excited to share some of that with you. If you'd like to know more about that, would love for you to contact the church office, and we'll be sure to have a conversation with you. All right, so those are a couple of the highlights, kind of key celebrations when it comes to the metrics. Now, what about some things of review that we want to do a little bit better? Well, one of the things that we realize is as we're growing so rapidly that sometimes we, as in staff, and specifically I'll shoulder it, me, don't do the best job communicating. We don't do the best job allowing people to know this is where I am, and my next step is here, and then my next step is there, and then my next step is here. And so, for example, I'm sure there's a lot of frequently asked questions from folks that we could do a better job answering. And so one of the things that we're going to try to do here in the early part of 2015 is we're going to try to do a better job communicating to everyone who is involved at Crossroads, to be able to say, this is where I am, my next step in the family is right here. Knowing that ultimately where we want every single person to get to is we want you to be someone who can reproduce your life into someone else. Meaning, we want you to be a disciple. A disciple is not someone that comes to church on Sunday. It is not someone who reads their Bible each day. It is not someone who prays before dinner. It is not someone who checks the box on the census that they're a Christian. That's not what a disciple is. Now, all of those are attributes that help us to be a better disciple, but a disciple is someone who is a follower of Jesus, who is able to reproduce their life into someone else in a simple, memorable way that person can go and do the same thing for another person. In other words, a disciple is someone who has spiritual grandchildren. And our hope and our heart is that every single person who desires to live that kind of life would know how to get there, would know what the journey looks like for them. And the reality of it is, it's a really simple journey. It's just hard. It's simple. It's just hard. But what we're committed to is walking with you every step of the way. And the thing that Amanda and I have learned in our life and so many others is that the closer we get to Jesus, the closer we get to having a life that we can reproduce into someone else who can then do it for someone else, is it opens up a door to a fulfillment and a richness like you've never experienced before. In other words, you get to experience what life is really like. Now, you and I get to choose how close we get to the center with all that, but we want to do a better job this year, letting you at least know what are the tracks, what are the handlebars, what's the roadway to get there, and doing everything we can to help you and your family experience life like you never have in 2015. Isn't it great? Isn't it fantastic to know that we as a church are worthy of reproduction as we get ready to launch a new church on the north side today, that God is doing something very special here, and we are so thankful. We are so thankful that we get to be a family on mission here at Crossroads to bring glory to God within our city and region in a way that our city and region might look more like heaven than it does right now.